What's up, everybody? Tonight we have mailbag time. So, TGIF, let's start the weekend right here on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? I hope everybody's had a good week. Definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me every day, making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. So, all right, everybody. Tonight is mailbag time. So I'm going to start off with the questions from YouTube. Then we're going to flow it over to X, aka Twitter, and then we're going to chop it up with comments at the end, like we always do. So, I asked for the questions. You guys gave me a lot of good questions, and I'm gonna give you guys good answers. So let's get into it. So, like I said, we're gonna start on the YouTube side. And this is from @HearTheScript, and they ask Missi or Ware or Edey. And this is a really good question, man. And I'll say this: it really determines what we do with number two, right? If we go Alex Sarr, which Alex Sarr seems like he's become more and more of a realistic option, it's not in concrete that he's going to be there at two. There's a good chance he could be, but there's a lot of things that happen with the draft, man. Things change. Your mock drafts change so much. I mean, one guy could be number one overall, he could be number 15 in 6 months. So, Sarr was at number one. Ron Holland was number one 6 months ago. Now, Zachary Sachet is getting a lot of friction. Don Klingen's name's been involved. But if we go with Alex Sarr, then maybe you trade back in and get another center because, like I said, Alex Sarr can play the four, and he has actually been slotted at being better at the four as opposed to the five, even though he can't play the five being a 7-footer. But they do compare him to Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think that's a really good comparison. So looking at the three, Missi, Ware, or Edey, like I said, if you go Sarr, I would still try to get a center. And like I said, because and it really, let me change that up. Like, it's a lot of dominoes need to fall into the determines, right? If it really determines who plays the four, right? Do you start Sarr if you draft him? And I think that's a question that's coming up. So I want to spoil nothing, man. But good question. I out of the three, if I had to choose out of the three, I guess, Edey and Ware to me are money in my opinion. I like Ware. I like the fact that he is a rim protector and he can stretch the floor. Zach Edey, the same thing. I like his size. I like his weight. I like his body of work. His offensive game's coming along. Missi is more of a traditional big where he's a rim protector, but his offense is practically non-existent and outside of being a lob threat and scoring in the paint. So out of the three, I mean, I like Zach Edey and I like Ware. And like I said, if we trade back in and maybe you want to grab another center, you grab one of those two. If we go in another direction outside of Alex Sarr, I think that you definitely trade back in and grab Ware or Zach Edey. And if you don't address the center position with the second overall pick and we don't trade back in, then you probably try to grab Missi with the 26th pick, in my opinion, because you still want to come out of this draft with a center. Now, I think that the Wizards, I think that with this front office, they're going to grab one of these guys, man, whether it's Don Klingen, whether it's Alex Sarr, whether it's Ware, whether it's Zach Edey, whether it is Yves Missi. I think that they're going to come out of this draft with a center because we need a long-term center. Yes, we have Tristan Vucevic, and I kind of covered this before that he's a 2-year deal, so this is kind of a prove-it year for him. If he performs, he very well could get extended. And Marvin Bagley III, again, expiring deal after this season. And Rashawn Holmes, we don't know if he's going to enact that player option or not, but we need center depth because we don't know what the depth's going to be after the season coming up. So, out of the three, I like Zach Edey. I like Ware. But Missi, he's a traditional big. There's a lot to want offensively, but defensively, he's definitely going to be that rim protector that we definitely need. All right. So moving on. Good question. Appreciate the question. Moving on. This is at KQ Sports Talk, and they asked, "Would you entertain signing Nicholas Claxton in free agency if we don't get Sarr?" Really good question, man. I like that. Nicholas Sarr. I actually was going to put out a video about Nicholas Sarr, and then a report came out that he was considering re-signing with the Brooklyn Nets. So I held back, but I still might put that content out this week for you guys. But if we don't indeed dress center in the draft, yeah, you go out there and get Nick Claxton. I don't think he's going to break the bank. I don't, he's not going to be. I think it's going to be a reasonable contract, in my opinion. He's still relatively young. He still fits the timeline, in my opinion. He's more of a traditional big, where he's a rim protector. Where offensively he doesn't stretch the floor too much. But if you strike out in the draft, maybe you reach out and see if money talks with Nicholas Claxton. I like him, but he's more of a traditional big, which is okay. Not every big in the game. You look at your Andre Drummonds, the list goes on. Not every center that has been successful in the NBA within the last 10 years has been in the traditional big, as far as a big that can stretch the floor. So you're gonna have guys who are rim protectors who, offensively are gonna be limited. So but I do like Nicholas Claxton. I really do. So if we don't get a center, if we go best player available and it happens not to be a center in this draft, then Nicholas Claxton is definitely a guy that I would definitely look at, in my opinion. But right now, I don't think we're going to be very active in free agency. I think the draft is going to be our time to shine. Now, we very well could bring back. I think in free agency, the biggest thing is we might bring back our own free agents as opposed to bringing out outside free agents, in my opinion. I would like to see Anthony Gill come back as far as leadership. But I think that Landry Shamet, with him being non-guaranteed, he's probably not coming back. And Tyus Jones, we'll see. It's kind of 50-50. There's people in the organization that do like Jordan Poole at point guard for at least the next 3 years. And there's people that would not mind re-signing Tyus Jones. And I know that he is comfortable and he likes it here in DC. But so like you said, a lot of things need to unfold. But it's getting closer. The draft is almost here, y'all. So definitely excited. But good question. I definitely appreciate the question, bro. This question is at XD_Zay Lothin 3154. Apologies if I jacked that up. If we get Sarr, does Denny or Kuz have to open up minutes at the 4th spot? Yes and no. I guess realistically, not so much. If you look at the second unit, Patrick Baldwin Jr. 6'10", he can play the 4, but he's also a guy who can play the wing. So, and do you necessarily start Alex Sarr right out the gate? I don't think so. I think you start him with a second unit. So you very well could see him get minutes at the 4 in the second unit. And as far as minutes overall, he's going to get his minutes. Obviously, this front office is going to prioritize minutes. If you look at Bilal Coulibaly, he was on the second unit, then he started. And the minutes was something that they prioritized with his development. So he's going to get his minutes. This front office is going to get him his minutes, man. But eventually you're going to have to make a move at the 4 long term. Especially if Alex Sarr is indeed where you want to play him at the power forward position. Eventually Kyle Kuzma is going to get dealt just because of his contract and his age. Denny, I think he's going to be here longer than Kuz. And I think that, he can't play the 4, but I see him as probably being the future wing. Now, they could have slipped into the 4, but we'll see. Because I know Bilal could probably be the wing, but Bilal has shown they can also play the 2 guard, and you can probably roll with a taller lineup. So a lot of possibilities. And I think that's the biggest thing that I like about the future, and I like about this coaching staff, and I like about this front office is that, they have a lot of versatility. And it's not just the draft picks or the draft pick by the new front office. You look at Denny, he's very versatile. You look at Corey Kispert, he's very versatile. You play the 2 and 3. Johnny Davis is versatile. Hate him or love him, he's versatile. So versatility has been an MO of this organization, not only underneath Will Dawkins, but also underneath Tommy Shepard. So this organization likes versatile players. They always have. And whether you hit or miss, Jan Vesey was versatile, but he just wasn't good. So let's get into the last question from the YouTube side. This is that Pink Different 5533. I love KP destroying Luka after how he was treating him at Dallas. KP is a nice person. Luka is a fart. All right. All right. Let me say this. KP, really likable guy. Great guy. Came in, was well loved by the fan base relatively quickly, and he should have been. He's a guy who stayed on the court longer to sign autographs. Very down to earth guy. Very likable guy, and I wish him well in Boston, man. And I hope look like he can get that ring, and it's much deserved. With his career, man. He definitely deserves that ring, in my opinion. So appreciate your time here in DC. Same thing with Daniel Gafford. I said it time and time again, I'm a big Gaff fan. I've had the privilege and the blessing to be able to interview him a few times at the practice facility, man. And very likable guy. Very likable guy. The guy that if he was not a millionaire and a basketball player and I wasn't doing what I'm doing, we could probably be friends. The guy was a good guy. He really was really easy and likable. So it's good to see him and Gaff eating in Dallas and Boston. I definitely think Dallas is going to be back. Now, looking at Luka, Luka, I'll say this, man. Yeah, the complaining to the refs, I get all that, man. He's not the only one, but he's notoriously known as crying to the refs. But, hate him or love him, this dude has some of the best footwork in the NBA for his size. He's not athletic. I think we all know that. He's not athletic, and he has superb footwork, and he just he puts himself in the best positions to score and put it. I mean, so yeah, the whining and all that, man. But yeah, I mean, I like Luka, but yeah, the whining really gets on your nerves, man. So, and yeah, there was a lot said about the relationship with him and KP in Dallas. So, again, yeah, I'm with you. It's good to see KP get that championship because they're up 3-0. I don't see it. I mean, maybe something miraculous happens, but I highly doubt it. So, we're gonna get into the questions from uh Twitter, aka X, and then we're gonna do comments at the end like we always do. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn or Prize Picks. My bad, Prize Picks. So you guys are probably wondering, right? What is Prize Picks, Brandon? And it's easy. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Ooh. In a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. 60 seconds. A minute, y'all. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players again, and there's stat projections, and you're locked in. Plus, look, with the finals over or almost over, hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is just getting started. With young stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, along with greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson, you can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out this summer, y'all. There's always action on Prize Picks, and this is the perfect time to try out something new as basketball, again, is winding down. Make sure to try esports this month because for every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry fee back. Choose from Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and more. So look, you probably wonder, what I got to do, Brandon? Easy. Download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. And again, download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Had to turn on the volume without that shouting? Make the switch today to Locked On Sports, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, let's get into it, everybody. Like I said, Prize Picks. So, talking about Call of Duty, you guys comment below. As you guys know, the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming out, man. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's get into the Twitter side, or aka X. And this first question is from Matt Moderno. Shout out to Matt Moderno on Believe in Wizards DMV content. He does immaculate content. So, man, look, if you don't already watch, definitely tune in to Matt Moderno over there, Believe in Wizards, man, because him and his co-host Jahadi White, former Wizard Jahadi White, do great content. And like I said, he does content with college and high school players in the DMV, man. So it's really good content. So Matt Moderno asks, you can pick 2 guys from this class to play 3-on-3 team with. Who are you picking? Man, that's a good question. Before his injury, or let's say his injury's healed, I'm rocking with Nikola Topic because I like his vision. You know, he's a guy, man, who's going to be able to roll a little bit. He's going to be able to find guys. So I like his vision. I'm going to pick Alex Sarr is my other guy, man, because he's versatile. He's light on his feet. He can stretch the floor, and he's got some dog to him. So that will be my 2, man. But there's a lot of good people to pick for from this draft, in my opinion, to play 3-on-3. Plus, they're going to be doing most of the leg work anyways because, man, I am getting older, man, and I ain't swift like I used to be, y'all. Let's get into it. Greg Feinberg, my bad, bro. Definitely, again, another guy where if you don't follow Greg Feinberg, man, definitely consider it, man, because he does great work, not only on his podcast, he is a contributor to Bullets Forever, and man, great content. He's very knowledgeable and very humble young man. So again, man, definitely check him out. Greg asks, what's the one move people aren't considering that you think the Wizards should make? I'm not saying they should make this, but here's the thing. Jordan Poole is a hot topic, right? You either hate him or love him. You know, me, I love the move, him coming over from Golden State. You see the talent, you see the dog. And he struggled, you know what I mean? And he got smoked from this network, from the show, and from pretty much every sports network in the country. Rightfully so, to a certain degree. Rightfully so. A lot of stuff was put out there about his, immaturity issues and stuff, and a lot of stuff came out that wasn't true. And then the second half of the season with the 6 man, he took a lot of that criticism, used it as fuel, as fire, became the starting point guard, and he played really, really well, and he showed that there's potential. He showed that potential that came over from Golden State. Now, there's a big question in the organization, right? Especially in the organization and the fan base. Is he the long-term answer at point guard, or is he a tradable asset? Now, we're looking at his contract. If you indeed want to move him, because look, the money total on his contract goes up every year. So, if you indeed want to move on from him, I mean, it's going to take. I'll say this: would it take picks to make it happen? Probably. I mean, it'd probably take a first round pick to move him at this point. Now, do I think his value can go up? I definitely look. I'm very high on Jordan Poole. Now, again, it goes back to the question: is he a trade asset or is he a long term piece? And I think that people are kind of 50-50 on that. But if you indeed move him, you move him up for another bad contract, in my opinion. So you don't necessarily have to move a first round pick. Now, one bad contract I'm looking at. And please don't say Bradley Beal. Lord have mercy, because that ship has sailed. But I'll say DeAndre Ayton. If we don't get, even if we get a young center, okay, maybe you flip Jordan Poole to the Portland Trailblazers, and maybe you get DeAndre Ayton another bad contract. But they have guards over there, so that would be one of the few bad contract trades I can see for Jordan Poole right now. Would be maybe DeAndre Ayton as center, because I believe he only has 2 years left. So maybe you're knocking down contract time, but even then, with the amount of guards they have, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, where would he fit on a team that is not a playoff team, is not a contending team, and a team that's probably looking for young talent? I mean, he's young, but with his contract, that makes it hard, man. So, looking at his fit, you got to get Jordan Poole right, whether you want him to be the long-term answer at point guard or whether you want him to be a trade asset. But all roads lead to it behooves the Wizards organization to get him where he needs to be. So I think that in the long run, he'll be all right now. But I think that within the next 3 years, probably within the next 2, we're going to determine whether he is a long-term building piece or whether he's probably going to get moved, man. So good question, man. Definitely appreciate the question, Greg, man. That would be, Jordan Poole would be the one thing that people aren't talking about, because I think that, most other areas, the draft and most players that are tradable, like Kyle Kuzma, is already a hot topic right now. But Greg, appreciate the question, my brother. This question comes from Bullets PR, and they ask, realistic trade destinations for Kuz, or would you keep him for leadership, versatility, and his contract? Also, how did he fit in with either Sarr, Zachary Sachet, or Castle if we draft one of those 3? Great question. Number one is 50-50. If you find a good deal, especially if you want to move back into the lottery, maybe you move Kyle Kuzma. But again, like you said, with his leadership, with his versatility, and with his contract, those are reasons why you don't feel compelled to have to hurry up and move him, right? I mean, eventually you're probably gonna have to move him, especially if you draft somebody at the 4, because eventually that guy's gonna be a starter, or hopefully, especially if you draft him at 2, definitely he's eventually gonna have to be a starter, right? So you're gonna have to move Kuz to a certain degree, but is it right now? No, but he's the most tradable guy. Let's be real, because his contract is a double-edged sword. It is a very team-friendly contract, both for the Washington Wizards and for a team where, if you want to add a scorer, a veteran scorer, you don't have to break the bank to do so. So his contract is very friendly for all sides. And you don't have to move him, but if you find the right deal, he's probably the biggest trade asset. Because, Denny Avia's name's been mentioned, but in my opinion, and I get it, opinions differ, you don't move Denny Avia because his age and the fact that he's still getting better. Corey Kispert, I wouldn't move. I think he's part of the foundation. Bilal, I wouldn't move. Johnny Davis, he has no value. So that's all the young guys. I mean, Jordan Poole, his value is, still climbing, but is not where you really want him to be. And you're still in that sphere where you're probably going to have to move a first-round pick to move him just because of his contract. So, getting back to Kyle Kuzma, trade destinations. I would say that Sacramento at 13 is very realistic. I would say that maybe Miami at 15 would be a nice trade destination. As far as the draft, because if he's dealt before the deadline, it's going to be a draft. So Sacramento 13, Detroit at 5. I think with that being a homecoming now, again, they have to make some moves in Detroit. I think that's a move to help them get better because they have not. He hasn't signed that contract extension yet. And I'm talking about Cade Cunningham. So you want to build around him. You want to start seeing painter as far as a young team in Detroit. So Detroit at 5. Is it realistic? We'll see. We'll see if the hometown guy, is enough to lure him, Kuz to DC or Detroit, Lord. So really good question. Now, how would he fit with Sarr, Zachary Sarr or Castle. He could play with Sarr because Sarr will probably be on the second unit. Zachary Sarr, I don't think out of the three, Castle's the only guy that I think would probably come in and start because with him wanting to be a guard, now I don't see him a point guard, but I see him probably as a two guard beside Jordan Poole or Tyus Jones if they bring him back. But Zachary Sarr and Alex Sarr probably would both start. They would both start on the second unit, so he wouldn't really hold them up per se. But you would probably be looking at probably a year where you get to the point where all right, you want to bring one of them up or whoever you draft up to the start. So you have to move him for assets at some point, man. So appreciate your question, man. And Riley Richards, my guy, he kind of asked the same thing. Top Kyle Kuzma trade destinations. That would be, man. To me, Miami at 15, and 13, Sacramento. Sacramento has been a possible destination for Kyle Kuzma for a while now, man. So let's see. I'm gonna try to knock out the rest of the X, aka Twitter questions. OA at OA Tower said, where would you place Denny, Bilal, Kuz, Poole, and Kispert in this year's draft? I wouldn't. Denny would probably be a top 5 pick in this year's draft because we all know this draft is weak. And there's nothing no Denny. You guys know I'm a big Denny guy. Even though people thought I didn't like him because I wanted him to get a left hand, but I'm big on Denny, man. I think that on the court, great player. Off the court, very likable guy. But I think he would be a top 5 prospect in his draft. But allowed to probably be around where he was drafted, around 7. Kuz, that's a good question because are you basing Kuz off of what he became or where he was in the draft process when he's coming out of Utah? Because you probably be around the same area. I mean, in this draft, Kuz, and looking at how he was in college, he's definitely a lottery pick because he was a scorer. He was young. There's other elements of his game, especially the mental side that he had to add in LA. But Kuz would have been a lottery pick in my opinion. Same with Poole, in my opinion, and Kispert. So I think that these guys were good picks. I mean, this has always been an argument with Tommy Shepard in his picks where there weren't bad picks. We needed the guys who could immediately help, and they were picks that needed to develop. And then Kyle Kuzma, good trade, in my opinion, coming up from LA, sending Russ over there. So I'm going to do the rest of the Twitter questions, then get into comments like I do. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. So when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Because look, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is so easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy. In fact, the 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Wow. So look, get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, everybody, let's knock out the rest of these questions. Very good questions on X, aka Twitter. Duran Metzov, appreciate your question, bro. Will a 30-win season be considered a welcome big improvement over the 15-win season last wins? Y'all get what I'm saying. Or will it be a bummer since we picked lower in a good draft? Obviously, I get it. A lot of people looking at it. The next draft is Cooper Flag, even though there's a lot of talent beyond Cooper Flag. And I said this time and time again, y'all. Don't make it to where it's Cooper Flag a bust because we saw how hard it is to get the first round pick. We barely missed the first round pick when the Wemby draft, and we had a good odds to get it this year. And a team who was a fringe playoff team that got the pick. So I mean, I wouldn't make it to where it's Cooper Flag a bust, man. I just wouldn't. There's a lot of talent beyond that, but it determines, man. If we go younger, I think that we're definitely going to be in the sweepstakes for a top 5 pick again. I mean, let's be real. If we go younger, so we're going to be historically bad again. Not obviously you're going to see guys like Bilal. Denny's going to get better. I mean, Bilal's going to get, I just said Bilal, but he's going to get better. Corey Kisper's going to get better. Jordan Poole's going to get better. So, I think that you could see a slight raise regardless. I think that 20 wins is probably the most realistic outlook. You probably get a 5-win improvement this year just because young guys are going to get better. And obviously we're going to bring in more younger guys. So, even especially with Kyle Kuzma on the roster, I think we can definitely be a 20-win team, maybe 25. But, if we trade Kyle Kuzma and there's a youth movement, yes, young guys are going to get better, but it's probably looking around 15 to 20 wins. probably not going to be a huge difference in my opinion, man. But I appreciate the question. The last question on X is Iron Like Lion and Zion. At Hoop Baller Man. Number one, year one of the rebuild is behind us. How many years of a rebuild are ahead? What would you consider a good season at next year? And keys to becoming a good defensive team. Great questions, man. Number one, I would say 3 more years of rebuilding because last year wasn't officially year one, even though we're going to consider it year one because we were kind of in flux. We had, veteran guys who we had to move to get assets for, which we didn't particularly do all the way like a lot of us wanted them to do. But, we were able to get something for Mike Muscala and Gallinari, which were two guys we were probably going to buy out. So, just to get Bagley in that trade, I thought it was a really good trade. And, looking at what Holmes does with his player option, we got a first round pick. So, but I definitely think that it was still a transitional year for us, going from the old era into the new. So I think there's 3 more years till we starting to become a fringe eighth seed or a playing team. In my opinion, it's going to be 3 years, and I'm hoping it's less. In my opinion, what would you consider as a good season next year? I kind of covered it before. 15 to 20 wins, I think, is probably a good season as far as win total. But just seeing progress from young guys, Jordan Poole getting better, Bilal getting better, Jenny getting better, Johnny Davis getting better. Every young guy, Patrick Baldwin Jr. getting better. All the young guys getting better, I think, is the real measurement of how we're going to see success with the Wizards. And the last one, keys to become a good defensive team, balance. Just balance. Defense isn't, having 1 through 5 being defensive guys doesn't really equal being a good defensive team. You can have players that are defensive players. You're just a good balanced team. Communication, chemistry. Those are the things that really make a good defensive team because, we talk about, this last year or two, man, where defensive communication was bad. The chemistry at times suffered. And those are things that make a good defense. If you look at the Boston Celtics with Drew Holiday, with Brown, with Tatum, with Porzingis, out of the 4, not every one of them are lockdown defenders, but they have that balance. They communicate. They have that chemistry on the offensive and defensive side of the ball and transitional defense. And so a lot of it has to do with chemistry and having a balanced team, in my opinion. So good question. That is the mailbag, everybody. We're going to get into the comments, and then we're going to start our Friday night off right, man, because I got some Wilford Reserve that is giving me the stare down right now. So let's get into comments, shall we? All right, so let's start from the top. I'm going to try to get through every question tonight or every comment tonight, so bear with me, y'all. Joshua Cotton said, if we could somehow get Sarr and Castle, that would be a blessing. It may not be a hard one, man. I mean, maybe if we trade for 4 and 8 from San Antonio, but even then, Sarr, I don't think goes beyond 3, in my opinion. It would definitely be a blessing. The Lord would definitely be in the details for that one, man. But I'm with you, man. I'm with you. If we're able to find 2 high impact players in this draft, I'm with it, man, because I think this is a really good developmental draft that the Wizards, for a team like the Wizards that are developing young talent, this is a good draft for us, man. Now, if you're a contending team or your team is looking for a piece or 2 away from contending, this is a draft that you're not going to like. But, if you're a Wizards fan or if you're a Wizards exec, man, this is the perfect draft for us because we are rebuilding and we're developing. So I'm with you on that. Lock and Law responded. Not really. They need size more than they need another guard. And since they're going to be in the lottery again next year, they can take for Cooper Flag. Now, like I said, I like Cooper Flag, man. But if you look at a guy like Matas Bazulis, there's video of him playing Cooper Flag, and he was playing them tough. So, I mean, Matas is a guy where he's Cooper Flag-ish at the 4, man. So, he's a guy that I would definitely target in this draft, especially if we trade back into the lottery. But Cooper, like I said, I like Cooper Flag, and definitely, if you get the number 1 overall pick, you're definitely looking at Cooper Flag. But to me, don't have the mentality of Cooper Flag a bust because there's other talent in that draft. So I think that if you're able to find a draft pick or an additional draft pick for the 2025 draft, that's a blessing, man. Because there's a lot of talent, in my opinion. And if we rock out these next 2 drafts, who says it has to be 3 years of a rebuild? You very well could see 2 more years. And it's all that's what I said. And another thing to look at as far as this draft is that yes, it's a weak draft, but it puts that much more pressure on front offices to do the job as far as scouting and development and developing these guys. So teams like the Wizards, this is the time for the scouting department to shine. This is the time for the front office, Will Dawkins, Travis Schlenk, and Michael Winger to shine. This is especially with the seasons coming up, the next 2 seasons coming up. This is when Brian Keefe and Dave Vanderpool shine because development is key. So definitely appreciate the question. Gregory Payton, what's up, man? I like Sarr. We need a place and a point guard. Your 3 choices, right? G, my guy. Got you. Sarr, I'm with you. We need a place and a point guard. Your three choices. I mean, at center, I'll say this. Center, if you add Sarr, I like Sarr. I like Ware. I like Zach Edey, and I do like Donovan Clingan. At point guard, I like Isaiah Collier, man. I mean, Nikola Topic, I I really warmed up to him. I see the potential, especially with his passing. But with the ACL injury, man, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we catch him if he drops, and we work with him, get him healthy, and then I think he could be a really good point guard in the NBA. But he definitely needs to get better on D, and definitely get better on a mid range and a 3-point shot. But the point guard, that's where I'm at, man. Rob Dillingham to me is more of a scoring guard, more of a 2 guard, more of a 6-man off the bench. That's about it as far as point guard, in my opinion. I'm probably missing somebody, man. But if I am, comment below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. All right, let's see. Raj Chandra Giri. I hope I nailed that, man. Yo, how you doing, Brent? I'm doing well, man. How you doing, brother? I definitely appreciate you tuning in tonight, man. Like I said, sorry, man. I'm right on with names, man. But it's been a long day, yo. Let's see. Gregory Payton says we can use Sarr, a power forward, and point guard. Your 3 choices. Oh, I just said that. Okay. Let's see. It was the Biggie Steve said pick number 1, get Reed Shepherd, then trade the 26th pick and trade up and get Edey. Reed Shepherd, I do like. Now, defensively, he's solid. Now, does he need to improve a little bit in certain areas on the defensive side? Absolutely. But, man, he's a lockdown shooter, man. I mean, he's a walking bucket, man. So, and that's intriguing, man. And that's very, very intriguing, in my opinion. Because I've really started to like Reed Shepherd, man. So I like it. Raj, again, I like Edey. Will only be good in college, to be honest. I don't really see him being an NBA threat. I see the potential, but here's the thing, though. I do agree to a certain degree. For his game to translate to the NBA, that's why having the right culture, the right system, the right developmental staff is so key. Because for him, I think he can translate, but that's why I said that this year, the next couple of years, really puts the front office and the scouting department and the developmental prowess of this coaching staff on notice, because it's saying, all right, now it's time for the real work to start. Now look, we got a new front office, we got a new direction, new coaching staff, kind of new. I mean, he's officially the new coach, but we've had him for a half a year. But this is the time where the real work starts. This is the time where the front office gets to work. This is the time when the developmental staff gets to work. The scouting department gets to work. So I'm with you, man. All the right supporting pieces had to be in place for guys to translate from college, especially like Zach Edey, man. So I agree with you on that. Locked and Law said he's 7'4", 310 pounds. Who's going to stop him? I feel you on that. I mean, that's a big kid, man. I mean, and I think he could be dominant. And that's why I said that you got to have the support system in place. And I think Washington has that, man. Eric Curry says, why is anyone looking at center or big forward that can't score in his new NBA? Because defense is a commodity and it's going to be a bigger commodity. The NBA is trying to clamp down on these high scores and the scoring mentality of the NBA. And if you look at officiating, you see that, especially in the playoffs and NBA finals, man, they're trying to bring it down, and defense is going to be prioritized a lot more. So I think that, as center, man, you got to have a guy who can protect the rim. And maybe you pick a guy who, the offense ain't there yet, but that's something that you can definitely develop. Whether you're looking at Donovan Clingan, or you're looking at Zach Edey. Now, Khalil Ware is a guy who can stretch the floor. But then when you look at Yves Missi, he's a guy who's a true center. He's a rim protector, but he lacks a lot of skill on the offensive side. So those are reasons that I would say. Kevin Quinn, what's up, brother? I only ask because I want a center that can defend the paint and rebound. I'm with you, man. I'm definitely with you. I think that we have a lot of options, and I think that rim protector is something that we need in this draft. We need somebody, again, rebounding has to get better on this team, and we have to have better interior defense. So, hey, Kevin, man, I'm with you, my brother. I'm with you on that. Locked and Law also said, why is anyone looking at guard who only jacks some shots and does nothing else? I'm with you on that. That's why I said Nikola Topic, man, is I like the motor. I like the vision. So we'll see, man. We'll see on that, but I'm with you on that, man. Kevin Quinn says we don't need another Joel Embiid or Jokic. I mean, I'll take a Joel Embiid or Jokic, but I kind of see what you're saying, man. You don't really make it to where it's modern day big or bust. I get it. You can go get a traditional guy and work on the offensive side, but if you look at the situation with Joel Embiid and Jokic, man, their teams are in the playoff hunt. So you gotta be able to stretch the floor to a certain degree. So so then there's ways to cover that up, but I think to a certain degree, it's good to have a traditional big and a modern big on the roster, in my opinion. And Tristan Vucevic is around the mode of a modern day big. And Marvin Bagley the third, he played a 4 and a 5, but he's a guy who can stretch the floor. He's not a sniper, but he's a guy who can definitely hit the 3-point shot in the mid range. Let's see. I want to see Bilal, Denny, and Sarr in the starting lineup. That would be a sexy lineup. I'm with you on that, man. I'm definitely with you on that, man. But Locked and Law said, "Why that lineup would get killed?" I don't believe so, man. I think that lineup, you're my guy, Locked and Law, man. But I gotta say that is a very intriguing lineup, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Let's see. Omer Ozale, what's up, man? How you doing today? Kuzma is not getting younger. They're waiting too much. I agree. I think that right now he's the most tradable piece, and you definitely move him if you indeed want to get back into the lottery. I think the time is now, in my opinion. Now you can wait to the deadline, but and people get on me. I'm not saying his value is going down, but his value is not going to get higher, if that makes sense. So I'm with you on that. Rear Wings on 1. It's been a while, man. What's going on with you? I wonder how these finals will be going if Kuzma agreed to get traded to Dallas. He's better than PJ Washington. I think they would. I think it's still be in the same situation. Boston is just look at their lineup: Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, man, and a really nice bench. Dallas, I think, will be back, man. I think the finals really showed the deficiencies. I jacked that word up. The areas where the Dallas Mavericks want to get better, right? But I think Dallas, man, Luka, hate him or love him. Does he complain? Yes, but he's a talent where this organization they'll be back, in my opinion. Because that's a lot to say as far as because that's a strong Western Conference. So maybe I'll walk it back a little bit. They're definitely gonna be in the hunt, but look, the Western Conference ain't getting any easier, man. OKC's on the rise. Denver's still gonna be there. Minnesota. Edwards is on his way. You got even your 6 through 10 teams are really good teams, in my opinion. So we'll see. Let's see. Omar Alzaleh also said why execs refuse to trade vets that hold young players back. Yeah, that's what I said, man. I get the leadership part of it. I get it that his contract is very team friendly, even though it's team friendly for everybody involved. But leadership wise, I think that you bring in a guy like Anthony Gill, who has shown that he is probably one of the better leaders on this team on the bench. 2, you charge these young guys who want to look. If you want a big piece of the pie going forward, then you got to step up being a leader. And I'm looking at Denny and I'm looking at Jordan Poole. I challenge them to be leaders. So I agree with you, man. If it's a leadership thing, you charge 2 guys who want to be the focal points, charge them. You got to take a bigger step in the leadership department. And I think they will. I think the Jordan Poole and Denny Avdia will step up to be leaders for a young roster, in my opinion. So, like I said, I'm going to try to get to everybody, man. We are at around the 38-minute mark, man. So I'm going to try to knock out 5 more, man. But I appreciate you guys, man. Friday, I definitely appreciate every Friday when you guys rock with me, man. Israel Teague says, do you think due to Topish's injury, he will slide to the 20s so the Wizards could possibly gamble on him there? I think so, because the biggest part of his game is speed, right? Speed and vision. We don't know. Right now we don't know how much that injury is going to affect his speed. So it's going to scare teams. Cam Whitmore, there was an injury concern and he dropped, even though he proved that he was NBA ready. He was ready to contribute right away, but he dropped because I felt like he was definitely there for the Wizards when we drafted Bilal Coulibaly. So, and then against Bilal's a guy. I love Bilal. I'm not going to get into the whole Cam Whitmore versus Bilal thing because I think in the long run, Bilal is going to be, I'm not going to say a better player, but he fits the timeline. He's a guy who has to be developed, but he has all-star potential, in my opinion. Excuse me. Woo. All right, let's see. Dean Pomeroy says, I feel like at this point we should save it for 2025 and go full tank mode. We're already in tank mode. We have arrived. We are going to year 2 of the tank bonanza. But I feel you, man. If you're looking at getting more draft capital, you definitely look at 2025. Yeah, because that is a better draft as opposed to immediate impact players. So I'm definitely with you. Big boy lineups, just really good says. I'm with you, man. Especially Bilal at the 2, bro. That's gonna be a tall lineup. Alex Sarr with a 7-footer. You match him with another 7-footer long term. With his Vucevic or another 7-footer. There's a lot of potential with this team, man. As far as a lot of versatility, man, and size. I love it. Merrill Garrett, my guy, man. I'm a big supporter of the channel. As always, appreciate you, brother. He says hit the like button, subscribe, become a Wizards fan. I appreciate you, brother. Definitely appreciate it, man. I'll see. I'm trying to knock out. I'm gonna do one more, man. And I'm looking at you, area 11 underscore T. Last question tonight, y'all. A curious thought. Do you think they may look to imitate the Bucks with Giannis and KM, an elite athlete who can mold offensively and a more skilled two-way wing to complement each other? Absolutely. Why not? I mean, Milwaukee's got that. Yeah, I see where you're coming, and I agree with that, man. Giannis, and that's the thing though. The draft that Giannis was in, that was a weak draft. I mean, he was vastly overlooked, and then this shows you what that the system, fit, culture, coaching, supporting cast, leadership, all these things matter. You know what I mean? They matter because these are the things that help assimilate a young man and help translate his game from the college ranks or the overseas ranks, or whatever it is, that help translate his game to the NBA level. So I think that what we have going on, that's a good mold. Especially and another thing you kind of mentioned is two-way wings or two-way players. Period. Because Giannis is a two-way player, even though his three-point shot and his free throw, I get all that, but his ability to score with his size. But yeah, two-way players is definitely the way to go. You guys who can defend and can score and can add other elements to the game, whether it's vision or rebounding. So I think that I say it all the time. Culture matters. The coaching matters. It's not just drafting somebody and say, go, get better. Nah, it's more than that, because if it was that easy, Kwame Brown would be a daggone all-star. And then against Kwame Brown, because I believe it to this day, I believe that if Kwame Brown didn't play with Michael Jordan, if he went to a Wizards team that was developing or a team that was a developing team, he would have been a 2010 guy, easy. The talent was there. It's just, he was probably drafted way too high, but they were developing. They were trying to make a team that was probably a tank team, in a sense, a playoff team. And it was, and even, a 40-year-old Jordan, which he was probably the best 40-year-old player outside of LeBron James I've ever seen play basketball, but it just wasn't enough. And I think that derailed his development a lot. So that was the last comment. I appreciate you guys, man. I'll rock with you on a Friday night, man. Like I said, Sunday night, we're going to talk about a couple more players, man. We're going to take a look at, what is his name, man? Tyler Smith. It's been a long Friday, y'all. We're going to look at Tyler Smith, man, because he's a very intriguing prospect at number 26. And we're going to look at Terrence Shannon, man. Another guy who has top 10 potential, but may slide a little bit in the first round. So we're going to look at Terrence Shannon and my guy Tyler Smith, man, on Sunday. But again, I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. Drink responsibly if you drink alcohol. Definitely if you're going to go out and travel, man, definitely be careful on the roads. Appreciate you guys, as always, man, taking the time out of your day to rock with your boy, man. The channel does not go where it's going without you guys, man. We have grown so much here at Locked On Wizards. And, you guys have watched me, a lot of you guys have watched me grow from a young pup in the podcast game to now, I'm doing my thing, media credentials, doing a lot of things, advancing, definitely getting this channel better, man. And I don't do that without y'all, man. So again, much love. You guys enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys Sunday. And hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.